I think what contemporary audiences have discovered, particularly in Handel, is his simultaneously ironic and deeply sympathetic way with the human heart, particularly with the female heart. He's not a teary-eyed romantic. There's nevertheless an extraordinary empathy with all the various extreme emotions involved with being in love. And because of the structure of his operas, aria by aria by aria, they're actually very simple to understand. You know where he's coming from. He's one of the greatest melodists of all. He delivers you a woman in love, a woman seized by jealousy, a woman perplexed by some inexplicable piece of behavior that her lover has visited upon her. He establishes the emotion he's exploring, and you then have 5 minutes, 10 minutes sometimes, to revel in it.
The only other Handel we did was Ariodante, which was in my last season, which I did with a director who I had collaborated with a lot at ENO, David Alden. And this Ariodante production was something that is one of the productions that's close to the director's own heart, that he's reworked and reworked, and he even reworked it here for us. The great skill of Handel, however, is that this element of farce is always juxtaposed with moments when time stands still, because the characters suddenly change into being people who portray their agony or the love in such a moving way that the audience is breathless in the way they're taken by this sudden change of mood. And then we contemplated taking Rinaldo on board, which was a slightly different cup of tea. Xerxes is a monumental piece, a comedy, an elegant comedy of manners, and a late and mature work of Handel. Julius Caesar the same, a great historical opera with a great sense of humour and an epic nature. Ariodante is completely serious, the Tristan and Isolde of the Handel operas, if you like. And Rinaldo is an early work. And when we thought about doing it, we really tried not to shy away from the fact that it's a youthful work by Handel, and a work which Handel really wrote as a farce. He took a rather ridiculous story of a crusade and made it into a comic farce.
For many years, I think there was a style of doing Handel which was rather heavy and literal. And I think one good thing from the period instrument movement that's happened is that it has opened our ears to a way of playing and a sound world that is not only closer to what Handel intended, but I think by most people's agreement, something that releases the music to make it even more expressive.
Ivor Bolton and later Harry Bickett, who is conducting Rinaldo, both have a speciality that they could train an orchestra that is famous in Strauss and Wagner and Mozart, that could really work with the players who had an enthusiasm for this music, so that they could play in a true Baroque style but on their modern instruments, and alter the style with which they play the other music that they have to play in the National Theatre or even in the Princeton Theatre day in and day out.
I think that when he was invited to London by this private producer to put on an opera, it was a major turning point in his career because, first of all, opera in London and England at that time was still a fairly rare and exotic thing.
I mean, there'd been Purcell, there'd been some little ballad operas by the English, which were not completely sung through. They were spoken texts and also some little sort of ballad arias, very simple. But there was a feeling that this new form from Italy was something that would appeal particularly to the rather pretentious London audiences who didn't really speak Italian but had a great love for all things Italian. Handel had had a huge success in Venice with Agrippina, and in a way his fame was made in Italy and also to a certain extent in the early Hamburg operas. The new theatre in the Haymarket was built with huge, wonderful stage machinery, and it was the first kind of public theatre, so there was an idea that this is a wonderful new commercial art form, and Handel was the man to do it because he'd already had such a huge success with Agrippina that in a way it couldn't fail, and in fact Handel made sure it didn't fail by using a large amount of the material from Agrippina for Rinaldo itself. So these were numbers that he had tried out in the theatre and he knew what worked.